Welcome to Friendship Friday. My name is Mark Long, rector of the parish of St Andrew in Newlands, Cape Town. It's a very wet day in Newlands, Cape Town today. We've probably had somewhere between 6 and 8 mils since 11 o'clock today. It's really come down in torrents. And when it does that here, it really does it in style. Probably the wettest part of the country, I think. On Wednesday, I spoke a little around values. And I'd like to continue that in a slightly different way today. I was struck by my devotional readings yesterday morning. I'm, as you know, quite hooked on Patrick Otuma's work, and particularly his daily prayers with the Corrymeela community. So this was day 5 in his book. And Luke 1:78 to 79. By the tender mercy of our God, the dawn from on high will break upon us to give light to those who sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. It struck me as we're kind of all immersed in some form in the shenanigans of the American elections at the moment, as well as just the ongoing challenges of life in probably almost every society around our world at the moment. I think lockdown has really highlighted many of the divisions and difficulties that we experience in community. And so this particular verse just struck me as a wonderful, almost prophetic verse, just saying that, or maybe just a verse that's a wonderful reminder that God is present and God is active and God knows our need. Prophetic in the sense that God is going to act. And that wonderful sense of this dawn from on high that will break upon us, will break into the darkness of our present situation. And that darkness for many may be economic. It certainly is political in the Western environment at the moment. It may be deeply personal. There are various levels in which we experience darkness in our lives and really need to know something of the light of God just active in our midst. One of the things that I kind of grew up being taught in some form, I'm not sure that my parents ever particularly said it, but one doesn't discuss religion, sex or politics in polite company, largely because it becomes contentious. And I talk religion a lot of the time, obviously, as a parish priest. And I do stray occasionally into politics, and sometimes perhaps more than occasionally. And certainly with the American elections, just really aware of something of the impact of individuals rather than political policies as such or economic policies. Someone like Trump, and I know some of you, in fact, may be Trump supporters, but I really struggle with the man. He stands for almost everything that I wish to stand against. And my sense is that not just for the American context, but actually for the world context, he's been a deeply destructive force in our world these last 4 years. And so there's a need for light, certainly in a whole lot of that space. And as we watch Biden closing in, I think, and hopefully on a narrow win, but nonetheless, he should take it. And of course, Biden's no saint either. But we need change, and we need that change on the world stage, not just in the American context. And so I'm thankful for a verse like this that potentially says that what is happening in that context, which we know impacts on different aspects of other economies and environments in our world, that God actually is working something good out there. And I have to trust in that. And a verse like this today just reminds me of that, that we sit in darkness, we sit in the shadow of death, but God comes to guide our feet into the way of peace. And my prayer, should Biden win, is that he will find ways to really deal with some of the huge divisions that are clear in the American context, but that may impact more broadly on the world in which we live at the moment. The United States having as big an influence as they do in our lives and world. But for me, in terms of politics, it's not really getting tied up in whether Democrats or Republicans are the right party. In our South African context, do we vote ANC, DA, EFF, and everything else that exists? It's less about the party politics than it really is about the corporate polity of who we are as human beings, and needing to find ways to live better together, and really to seek ways to live well together. And in South Africa, we've had those challenges, and we continue to have those challenges, and we continue to move forward with them. And reading an article today speaks about South Africa sitting on the edge of a fiscal cliff, if not actually already falling over it. There is so much that does speak to darkness and difficulty and struggle in our lives and the lives of our people in this land. And so just to know that God remains present. God is not disinterested and far off, but God is here. For me, really is a very, very powerful comfort. And I hope that will be so for you too. Patrick Atuma, of course, not only puts in a verse, but he has a little prayer that goes with it. And there's always a deeply poetic nature to that. And the prayer for today, or for yesterday, should I say, goes as follows. God of promises, sometimes we wait generations for the dawn from on high, sometimes only years. We wait for justice and hope and light and kindness to mingle in the tangle of our days. And we age while we hope. So may we age and hope with tenderness and truth, because you are tender and true, even though we sometimes wonder. Amen. May God be in the tangle of our days. And as we wait for justice and hope and light, in the past we've waited, we've seen God act. In this time, we wait again, and we trust in God to act on the world stage, in our own nation, and in the context of our more intimate relationships and lives.